So Buck, my grandfather, Lon Ramsey, you were first. You've enjoyed this weekend, obviously.
Fantastic weekend.
A family reunion.
With the extended family.
Yes, family reunion. And would you say that like I'll just start out with like big questions.
Yeah.
Is there one like happy is there a happiest memory that you can grab onto, or like 1 of 10 if it's hard to fine tune them? Like what's like some of the happiest memories of your life?
Of my life.
Of your life.
That's a tough one.
It's a tough question.
That takes a little contemplation.
I'll tell you what. Break it down.
Well, let's see. I think when I got married.
Married. Where'd you get married?
We got married in Davenport, Iowa.
Okay. Big wedding.
A big wedding, and I think that was very good. And then during World War II, I came back on leave, and my brother, George, who had was a flyer, a bombardier navigator, he was able to get leave and come in at the same time. So we had the whole family together, and that was wonderful.
Okay, so you and George were able to get leave at the same time. That's something you could arrange through the office, or was it luck?
He was in the Army, Air Corps, and I was in the Navy.
Okay.
So that took some doing, but and we had a pretty good family. And then he went on from there to do things in Britain and so bombing Germany and so forth for the cause.
George was, you said in the Air Force?
He was a bombardier navigator.
Okay.
In a B-17.
17.
Yeah.
And he was flying at 17.
Correction, B-24.
Wow. B-24.
Yeah.
And is there like a heroic milestone that he achieved? Like, did he? Is there like one specific thing that he bombed that made it?
Well, they bombed many places that were specified.
Got it.
I can't think of the farthest that he did. I don't think he bombed Dresden, but they bombed a lot of other cities. And then he got shot down just inside of the channel on his way back from a bombing mission.
He got shot down just inside the channel?
Just in sight of the channel.
Oh, wow.
And then he was in prison camp for about 19 months. Or 9 months.
Prison camp for 9 months?
Yeah.
At the time, did you think that was going to work out? Like, were hopes low or high of his return?
Indefinite. Very indefinite.
Indefinite.
And I was down at Pearl Harbor for repairs. We went in for overhaul, and a friend of mine said, I didn't even know about it. This friend of mine said, your brother's been found, and he is now in prison again.
Got it.
So I got that information.
So it's good news that he's found.
Yeah, and in prison.
Got it. Now, and what was your rank in the war?
I started out as an ensign in the reserves, and I went up to a full lieutenant.
Full lieutenant.
A lieutenant. Ensign, lieutenant junior grade, and then lieutenant.
Got it.
And on the ship, I was a officer cadet.
Officer
cadet.
So you got the respect and everything that.
Well, the officer of the deck is next to the captain is the top side next to the captain. He's operating the ship.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So if there's anything wrong, anything happens, it's captain and then you.
That's it. The captain's got his bunk right behind the officer of the deck, who's on every 4 hours.
Got it. Okay, got it.
Captain is on ground.
Got it.
And then below decks you have a different setup with the executive officer and so forth.
And what would you say the most frightening moment on the ship was, or the most touch and go?
We had a lot of. I would say the most frightening moment was when we were surprised by a kamikaze. Yeah, which we had made no preparations for. Everything was, as they say, unbuttoned. Okay. And exercising. I think you never heard of that. But
what does it mean when everything is unbuttoned?
It means that all the hatches are secured, and you're in sort of a safe mode.
Vulnerable.
No, safe.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Safe mode.
Got it.
Where you think you're far away from the enemy, and and then everything is open. So if you're damaged at that time, you can take on an awful lot of water.
Oh, got it. So your shields are down, basically.
That's right.
Okay, got it. And at that moment, you were surprised by a kamikaze pilot.
That's right.
So your main theater of operation was in the Pacific?
In the South Pacific.
Oh, okay, so the main threat was from the Japanese, or the only threat?
The Japanese. We were dedicated to destroying the Japanese
Navy,
air bases and so forth on the islands.
Got it.
In that archipelago.
And what was the island that you were primarily centered around was what island?
Well, Kwajalein was a major island, surrounded by smaller islands.
Kwajalein.
They had a lot of airfields there. So our mission was to knock out those airfields.
Got it.
And so
what kind of armaments did the Yorktown have?
we had fighter planes, dive bombers, and torpedo planes.
Wow.
Squadrons.
Impressive. So, it was like so full on terrifying military response to anything that happens. Did you feel like at any point did you want to continue a career in the military?
No, I wanted to get out as fast as possible.
Why? Why? Just to go into business?
Get into business and go on with life.
Got it. And were you drafted or did you sign up?
No, everybody was just fighting to get in.
Fighting to get in?
Yes, and I was at ROTC, so I automatically came in and I got in the ROTC, which was filled when I went to Northwestern. But they said I could get in if I could play the drum. Well, I sort of fudged a little. I said I could.
Okay.
And I played the drum. I became a drummer.
You picked it up quickly?
In the ROTC, right.
Wow.
And my problem in the drum corps was that the man with the bugle behind me never got the word to halt.
Okay.
And he always ran the bugle in the back of my head. So.
There's, I feel like there's one story, and maybe we'll come back to it, but I feel like if at any point you feel like you want to throw in any story that you're thinking, feel free. Like if you all of a sudden decide that you want to tell the medicine ball story or something.
Okay.
Feel free. But I feel like if we're talking about the Yorktown, there is the infamous medicine ball story. You just tell me what it is.
Well, I didn't even know that the medicine ball story had any legs. I mean, but nevertheless, what happened was that I was an officer, and I had a bosun mate under me in my division, who was very cruel, and he was very tough on the men, and I was constantly on his neck because he was mistreating. He would possibly mistreat per. He just one man didn't quite have it as good as he should up here, and he gave him a sandpaper shower, which means instead of a washcloth, he does sandpaper. And so I disciplined him. I took him up to that captain's mast, and he consequently disliked me so substantially. And so I am playing volleyball with another officer, just tossing it back. So he said, Mr. Ramsey, would it be all right if you and I threw the ball back and forth? Well, this is kind of laying the glove down. And
he put down the gauntlet.
He put down the gauntlet. And so, whoa, we threw it back and whoa, here, now we've got 100 people watching. Whoa, they're coming from all over to see this. And with this, and I knew I just couldn't lose, or I'd have no command status whatsoever. And so finally, he said, "Thank you, Mr. Ramsey." He said that was a very good idea. Now, some years later, I was in the Navy, and
so you had given it your all.
I gave it my all, and he finally said, "Thank you for the great exercise." It's giving up, in effect. So now the crew hated him.
Right.
Okay. So I'm in a taxi in Chicago several years later, and the guy said, "Mr. Ramsey," looks in the mirror, he said, "Richards, 4th Division, how are you?" I said, "I'm fine." We drove a little. He said, "I'll never forget that afternoon on the deck of the Yorktown when this Bosa mate threw that ball to you and you throw it back and you knock him down, you'd get it and you knock him down. It became a legend.
A legend.
I never knocked him down. Yeah.
They all wanted that.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're in the middle of discussing the courtship, which is...
Oh yeah, okay. So anyway, I went out to visit Willie in Pine Manor, and of course, the situation was heated up a little in life before that.
Okay.
And then I went to Northwest.
Wait, you have your brother with... one thing is, I think we got cut off actually. This is awesome. Your brother was like super shy and then had...
Okay, in dancing school.
Yeah.
And that's true.
And then he would stay so far away from everyone.
That's right. And I tell you, this is a little off color.
Okay.
But maybe you can handle it.
We're adults.
And we used to dance at the Davenport Country Club. And it was a terrific thing. And we were young guys and so forth, and we're watching the adults at play.
Okay.
And one of the adults, right now, but anyway,
Okay.
he at the Harvest Home Festival, he used to get an ear of field corn and then push it down in his pants and then dance with the girls. And you can see the expression of the girls. Anyway. But so that was part of the social, excuse me, social life of the Davenport Country Club.
Got it.
But we had another situation there, especially since the Olympics is on right now.
Right.
There was a very corpulent girl, and we were swimming in the pool after a rain, and she jumped off the diving board, but I saw this. She jumped off the diving board, but she didn't jump off the tube. She lit the cement, which had water on, and she slid and didn't injure herself.
You're kidding me.
I'm not kidding. I saw that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like I feel like both you and Willie are from. I mean, we're all from a privileged background. Like, did you get a sense of the definition of class, like the difference between class? I think the difference in class is much more clear back then, or was it?
Well, I think that's probably true. I don't know. I don't really know if we had that class distinction. Like, if we just automatically knew we fit in with the group.
Got it. Got it. When did you decide that you were interested in art? Like, and was that a...
Well, my father was very interested in art. And my father was instrumental in starting he was the major factor in starting the Municipal Art Gallery in Davenport.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was.
And that's still around now?
It's still going, and it went through some periods of having difficulty because some couple men have put a lot of money into it and expanded it.
Got it.
And then left town and transferred left to live somewhere
Stole
else.
money, basically.
And so the town was left financing.
Got it.
But I think it's pretty stable right now.
It is?
Yeah, cool.
But do you remember a point at any, like I remember very specifically as a child, working with Dad, having Dad kind of like draw things for me, and I remember being interested in that at the time, like being fascinated that he could create creatures and stuff and draw and tell stories about them, and that's one reason I'm drawn to art, but also because I remember your art studio.
Yeah.
And I think the whole family is probably creative because of the same reason.
Well, at one point you made the statement that you felt that the fact that I was interested in art made you interested in it. Got you interested.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And of course you went a long way in that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But do you remember what caught your attention? Like, do you remember why you, has it just been kind of like a hobby that's just sort of been in the back of your mind? Or is it a passion that one day you were just like, I think I'm really into that? Do you remember what sparked your interest?
You know, I really can't say.
Okay.
But it becomes a driving force. And I would say this, that it's speaking of a guy that's an upper age man. I would, if you want to talk to the artist a little bit,
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate that for whatever reason I've had the art interest.
Right.
In that, when you're retired, you have an awful lot of leisure time. And then when you're retired from playing golf, and those sports that we first retirement that you're really heavy into.
Right.
Then you've got a lot of leisure time. Well, I'm as busy and I worry as much about what I'm going to do tomorrow as I used to in business.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do.
With art?
I get excited about what I'm doing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's like there's a story about a treadmill to oblivion.
Okay.
And that's what it is.
Treadmill to oblivion.
Treadmill to oblivion.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that when you do this, and you're like, oh, I want to do this next piece, it's because you creatively, you just want to see how it works, like you want to experience like going through that process?
The excitement, to me, the excitement is the creation. And then there's the workmanship that is really just fills in till you can get to the next project.
Got it.
I mean, it's hard work to do it, and it's not that exciting. It's the creation that's exciting.
It's the creation itself.
Yeah.
Awesome. I like how you put that. Do you have a favorite piece? And here, how the way that I would describe myself, I have a very aggressive application of paint, and I have a very loud, bold style. How would you describe the technique that you're into right now, or how would you describe yourself as an artist?
Well, okay. Now, I will tell you that I really admire what you do. I mean, it's fantastic, and it's got so much energy in it, and it's just fantastic. Now, if you're asking me about what I do,
yeah.
Okay, I work in oils.
Oils.
I work in oils, and I just do everything over the map, and across the
everything
spectrum. And because I have this good fortune to be retired and being able to do this, I can just follow my instincts or follow my nose.
Right.
And I'm not a guy that has to. He's famous for doing landscapes. He's got to punch out landscapes every day. You know.
Right.
So that's the way it is.
You can do whatever you want.
I can do whatever I want.
Is there any part of you that thinks like I could like do you think that you have a major kind of like impact like obviously you have connections to the museums and everything. You have I guess like if you say you toss your entire collection out right now, do you think that you have greatness in the next one and the one after that? Like, do you think of legacy when you paint?
No.
What? Okay, no. You just paint purely to.
It's just a drive. It's just an inner driving force.
Got it. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And I really don't. I do like to have people criticize my work, and not to be in a complimentary way. I'd like them to come in and say what they don't like.
You want that?
I like that. Yeah.
Got it. Now, do you?
It's hard to get out of people sometimes.
Do you think that there's anything like if an artist is kind of just hyper focused on an objective, like I want to be I want the throne that's available in this generation for an artist. Like, I'm curious. Like, what do you think the difference is between ambition, let's say like narcissism, and an artist who's just trying to create and wants to make a statement? Like,
well, I don't know if I'm grabbing this properly, but let's say when I started business, one of the things I read was, I believe, was Elmer Wheeler's book on the power of positive thinking, and I think that positive thinking is something that drives through everything.
Okay.
And if you think that you're going to create something and it's going to be what you want, whether you get somebody help along the way or whatever.
Right.
You know, that's what it is.
Okay.
Positive thinking. That I don't think you can beat positive thinking. You're going to be terrific, and you're going to do this.
It's interesting you say positive things. Like, when did you read that book? Like when you were a kid, or much later? Or
I read it when I got out of the service.
Okay.
And I tell you, it was a very important book. They even published that in a little tiny, like a 2.5 inch by 3 inch book. And I remember a guy I worked with in the advertising business. He was crippled, and he had a real handicap. And I said, you really do a terrific job. Well, he said, I carried that positive thinking in my shirt pocket all the time.
You were kidding me.
I'm not kidding.
You and I feel like like any family, I feel like there's been like highs and lows. Like I feel like, what do you think I feel like this family's been through pain that could devastate and destroy a lot of families. Again and again.
Yeah.
How do you think that, like, what do you think it is that gets us through? Like, are there any lessons to be learned? And what would you like to say thank you to that at least everyone getting through to the other side?
Well, of course,
I don't know how to.
Families have a lot of pain, but that's life. I mean, that's it's not all a bowl of cherries. It's a bowl of strawberries, and you take the bad with the lousy. And you just have to go through it, keep your head high, and come back from when you get slapped down.
Just keep going.
Even though it's great grief and whatever it is.
I feel like Winston Churchill has like this phrase, and it's like, when you're going through hell, just keep going.
Just keep going.
Okay.
But I would say that this is a term of sadness, family sadness. It never goes away. You just learn how to handle it.
You just know how to handle it. Got it. Is there? What would you feel like the greatest? Let's talk. We'll talk about family. Like, has it kind of surprised you, or I'm sure it's probably delighted you, but like, have you found any tremendous surprises in any of the grandkids or the kids where I'm just, I guess like we did not expect that, or I'm sure maybe everyone's a surprise. But as now a great grandfather, like, what are thoughts you have on fatherhood, grandfatherhood, great grandfatherhood?
I don't know if I can come up with anything quicker than that.
Give a tip for anyone.
Grandfatherhood, you're lucky if you live long enough to have grandfatherhood. And well, I like this. I could just take it off of this experience. I mean, it's enjoyable to see all these people who we're connected with, and so forth through our bloodlines, and the additional spouses and all that kind of thing. It's very gratifying.
It's very gratifying.
Yeah.
Do you get? To me, it feels like it would be very easy to develop like a. I mean, I feel like it's a pretty good family. Develop like a very prideful attitude. But our kids are really spreading out. I think they're going to have like an impact, or like did you ever put expectations on what you wanted everyone to achieve, or like?
I did as a younger man.
Okay.
But as you get older,
and what does that mean?
I've very much adopted that they don't disappoint you. You want them to do their own thing.
Got it. If they're doing their own thing, then that is what you want.
That's right. I want to see somebody that's happy and satisfied and enjoying what they're doing.
Okay,
they only take one shot through life. They might as well enjoy it.
Feels like profound advice.
One trip through life.
One trip through life.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you had just like, would that be like the one piece of advice that you would give? Like, if I wouldn't have just one profound piece of advice ready. Like, if this was the last thing I could say, I wouldn't have one piece of advice ready. But I'm just curious, like, is there like, do you think about like the end, or like, oh, I feel like before I go, I want to give this one last message? I mean, ideally we have 20, 30 years left of you.
Well, I gotta tell you, I don't know if I got the right slant on that, but here's the way it kind of it works out. That up to a point, you don't even think about it, and then when I'll tell you in my life, you don't even think about whether there's ever going to be an end. And then I went through the service, and then they used to say, well, what the hell? If I get tagged, I get tagged.
If I get tagged, I get tagged.
Yeah. Then you get out of that, and then you get in the excitement of business and building things and so forth, and that's very exciting. So you don't think there's an end to it. And then when you get to my stage, you say, yes, there is an end to it. But there's an end to it. But how soon?
Right. You're like, okay, so at this point you've accepted that there's an end to it, but and you're like, but how soon to it?
How soon?
Is there anxiety attached to that, or is there fear or peace? Or
I'll go a little further in this particular way. We've just gotten to this point. Somebody said to us, you know, we live independently. We don't live in a home, with a nursing home, and
Right.
we enjoy it. But anyway, so I'm 92 and Willie's 2 years younger than I am. So somebody said to us the other day, they said, you know, by golly, you should make preparations for bailing out.
Bailing out.
Bailing out. And we hadn't done this. And you just have a feeling it's going to go on forever. So what does that mean? Well, it means that we got to tie up this thing. Lily has, I don't know if she feels as I do about this, but Bart's got a picture he wants. So what do? We make that, I talked to Bart about that. Remember that you want that picture.
Right.
Okay. And then I think the next thing is, we've got a couple of valuable pictures, and maybe we ought to give them to the artists to get those out of the way. In other words, you're really planning towards the end.
Right. Maybe the Art Institute is not the best home for some of this.
Well,
I'm joking.
They want the couple.
What,
They want them, yeah. But do that.
Making a classless joke.
Yeah.
Is there like, what would you say that your biggest success in life, or like, is there like, just as we're talking,
Yeah.
is there anything just immediately popping up in your head? Where like, you know what, that was awesome that I did that, or like even like a game that you won as a child. Like, what are some of the kind of victories that stick out in your head? I know that you said being married to Willie was exciting, everything, and maybe landing a girl was exciting, but like, you know, when you got the promotion in the Yorktown, or like maybe when your business was working out, or you were able to start a business, like what are some moments in life where you really felt achieved, or you felt like what you had worked for had kind of panned out? What are some like happy successes that you've had?
Well, I used to, I have to get a hold of that pretty fast because lifetime limitations. But one of the successes was building a small company.
Small company.
A guy and I started, a man and I started together. He was an older man, and he coached me. And we were equal partners.
Okay.
And he died very shortly after we started the business. But he gave me a lot of firm things to think about. Now, to come back to, give me just once more, give me your basic premise.
Oh, just like, you know, anything you're excited, like any talking points, things you would brag about.
Okay, I will tell you that the business I was in was so exciting. It was like a game, and it was very exciting building that business.
It was a marketing business.
And I built it sort of. When he left, he, as I say, we had to scramble like crazy because he was a financial guy and I was the sales and the outside guy.
Okay.
And we had to scramble around, so I had to learn all that. That was all exciting. And then we'd get a big order, or something that was exciting.
Yeah.
And then some competitors giving us a problem, and the wrong, that's negative, but that's exciting to get him out of there.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you like the scrap?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And you know, I remember a case where this is very true of business if you're in a competitive business. It's like the Foreign Legion. The Foreign Legion hated this Arab guy that was always attacking them. They hated this guy. And
Right.
they'd go out and make forays out to get this guy, and they'd fight. And then they said, this guy is died. Oh, what are we going to do now? How are we going to hold everything together?
Oh, I get it.
See, there you are.
I completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right, so back to Nani again. Do you remember any moments, like the first time you said "I love you" to her, or like when you put the ring on her finger? Like, what is the most happy emotion? Like the happiest emotional Nani? Do you remember that point? Like,
Well, I could tell you. Now wait, this is a little stretching it, but one of the most emotional happy points was when we came in to Bremerton, and they said, okay, the R's can run up you had to run up a cobble street road, and they had a bank of telephones there.
okay.
And now I'm getting off that maybe a little bit. I got a phone, and there were hundreds of guys, thousands of guys, not maybe hundreds, going for those phones. And I got a phone. Willie, this is mine. Where are you? So I'm at this ranch in Wyoming. Oh, no kidding. Well, why don't I, before we go to Davenport, I'll drop by the ranch and so forth.
Oh,
Yeah.
and you're gonna see her.
Yeah, I know he saw her at the ranch. Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel what has kept the marriage working for the last almost 70 years? You said you just had a 69th, and you're about to have a 70th anniversary.
Yeah.
So anyone who's married or might be getting married or anything, what kind of advice would you give them? What has worked for you?
What works for us is that if you have agreements, get it out.
Okay.
And maybe you get it out vehemently or whatever, but get it out.
Got it.
Get it out, and then it's gone.
Get it out and it's
Yeah,
gone.
it's gone. If you don't hold any grudges, it's over. You go on with life.
Don't hold a grudge.
No.
I feel like that's easy to say, don't hold a grudge, but I don't think everyone is able to accomplish that.
But that's disabling.
It's disabling, agreed.
Yeah.
I feel it's do you feel it's a lesson that it took you a while to learn?
That's very possible.
Okay. I've got one.
I think you have a point.
Got it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like when you met Nani and everything, like her family, like getting to know all of her family now that we've seen this like whole cave inside, like Mel, her sisters, like what did you think of the family dynamic that you were getting into?
Well, I knew the family dynamics in that Willie's family and my family were good friends.
Okay.
And we were in the same social stratum and so forth, you might say. So we knew each other pretty well. And
Same country club.
same country club, same situation.
Did they have a reputation of any kind? Like, was there any kind of myth or story that was attached to their family that you were aware of?
Her father were in the cement business.
Cement.
Portland cement business, and my family, I should say father, I say her family because her grandfather and so forth was.
Okay.
My father started an advertising agency, and he was at the L.W. Ramsey advertising
Got it.
agency in Davenport.
Got it.
So, but they all knew each other. They were good friends.
Okay. So they were good friends. You just knew them as like a fun
Yeah.
group.
So I would say that they accepted me right away.
Okay, got it.
Vice versa.
And all right, so there wasn't like a story like Willie wasn't like from afar before you met her. You didn't think that's that wild woman Willie. I've heard about her.
No.
I haven't really talked to her, but I've heard she's wild. Or okay, just check.
So you have the feeling, oh, that's great. She's
cape.
Yeah, oh, that's wonderful.
Oh.
And then, he's a Ramsey. Oh, that's a good thing.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And all right, your father, Leonidas.
Yeah.
He never went, and I understand that you at one point changed your name from Leonidas.
I did, yeah. I think it was during the Navy. That was a pretty heavy animal to carry. Leonidas every time I had to be in it.
I can imagine.
Display my name and so forth.
So
I say Lon W. Ramsey 1666658.
got it.
Yeah.
The what did you like? I know I've read his book, and the photograph of your father that I've seen is, he's wearing a sombrero, and that seems like it's probably like maybe a costume, or is that kind of was that his look? Tell me about your father.
Well, my father was a very dignified man, and back in those times, as per Willie's father, they wore a collar with a collar that attached to a shirt with a button in the back. It's a stiff starch collar, and he was very dignified, double-breasted suit, and a very, very good moral position and so forth. They're a very respected guy.
What does that mean exactly? Very good moral position, like.
Well, I mean, he would help people out and so forth, and he was known for honesty. So was Willie's father.
Both of them were known for honesty.
Oh, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So that came on to you, and then, and he was also rather gregarious.
He was, but he wasn't a snap-back salesman type.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even though he's in marketing, right? I feel like you usually associate sales with that.
And he had a great ability, like to slough off something that was negative. For instance, a man told me one time they went out to, he and another man went out to solicit an account, and they were sure they were going to get this account, and it turned out they got blown out of the water, and so they're coming back talking about it. The assistant kept talking about my father. He reported that my father said, let's quit talking about it, go on with life. I mean,
Let's just move forward.
It's gone.
That's impressive. Where do you think there's like a gregariousness and like a verb that is like I associate with our family. I feel like no one is really quiet.
You know what? I think that's terrific. Use that word,
Verb.
I think that fills the bill. And there is a certain verb.
A certain verb.
Absolutely.
Do you think it's just something that kind of is just? I mean, it's probably silly for me to ask, where does that come from? Because it's just something that has come down. But it's an exciting feature of our family.
Well, I don't know, but I think if you went to the basis, you'd say it's based on honesty.
Honesty.
Honesty in the way you treat the other person and your attitude and everything. It's all up front, and that's it. So have a good, go for it.
I understand completely what you're saying. I feel like they actually talk about this a lot in like if you see counseling for alcoholism or something.
Yeah.
They're very lead an honest life. Just be who you are.
Yes.
And then then it loosens you up, and then you don't have to put any thought into this shield.
That's right. Absolutely. I agree.
And it probably and I like how you say honesty, and you're right. It probably goes much further. Just like be as authentic of who you are as possible.
That's right.
And you've lived like a very authentic. I mean, I feel like more than anyone I know, you've really lived an authentic life.
Well, I can't take any medals for anything on that. I just try to do it my way.
There's never been any. Mark Twain always used it, affectation.
Yeah.
I have never noticed that you and Willie have demonstrated any affected behavior or anything like that, and it's. I feel like.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if anything, I think us kids may have even tried to. And I think we're all aware that our family was accomplished in spots or was lived comfortably in areas, and I feel like even as kids we may have had it. I think in other families we might have turned out to be absolute brats and showboats or something like that, and I was always very discouraged to do that in our family. To act like that.
Well, I tell you follow the example of others, perhaps.
Possibly so.
And that's the positive thing.
Possibly so. All right, let's talk about fun, like adventures and everything. Like, I feel like you and Nani together the other day had narrowed down the number of countries that you've been to what, 90?
Well, I think we figured at 98, I think it was.
98 countries.
Yeah.
Some probably don't even exist anymore.
That's true. They have different names anyway.
Well, let's say Prussia was probably before your time, but
Yeah.
there are a lot of things. Can you think of a couple of really spectacular, like maybe point out places that we haven't been that you're like, just do me a favor and get there someday?
Well, of course, Burma's good.
Burma.
Yeah, Burma is good. And
What was great about
and
Burma? What did you enjoy?
India's bottomless. I mean, we loved India. And of course, it's some people say, oh, there's so much poverty, but that's India. You know, I'll tell you the story about India. That it might give it, they accept life and they accept everything. Okay, so now we're in India, and I had a pair of saddle shoes I was wearing, and I kind of wore them out. So when we went to dinner, I tied them together with a note that said, "With main concern, please feel free to enjoy these shoes as well as you can." And I left them there. So anyway, we went back to the room and we're about ready, now it's late at night, we're about ready to turn in. We just said, oh, we've got to check something from the front desk. Oh, golly, we've got to. And so we called in and Ann said, I don't want to talk on the phone, I'll be right in to talk to you personally. Okay, came to the door, I looked down, he's wearing my saddle. So I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, we all work together.
Do you as you look at just like how the world has evolved, like let's say this country has evolved since, like, as you've been watching it, do you have any, like, what are your thoughts? Like, you know, like obviously you part of the greatest generation, you put a tremendous amount of effort into saving the country at different times. Like, what, just with this talk of like competition between China, I don't know, what are your thoughts just about the United States?
The only thing I could repeat is the thing that we hear, that my generation talk about so much, is about, it seems like that the younger generations, that is the younger people coming up, don't really appreciate everything that people have done before them.
Okay.
And that they have a very casual approach to life. A frivolous, I'll say frivolous approach.
Frivolous.
Yeah, and they don't feel that if they have a grasp of what ought to be. And some people even go so far as to say, no, we need us a good depression. I mean, I don't really go for that, but I mean, it's something to bring people back to ground zero and start building up where man to man that we pull together on something.
Another, like, what was FDR's? I mean, he kind of brought everybody together. All of a sudden,
FDR was
New Deal. No, not the New Deal. I mean, but like, you're saying you'd like something to occur where it's like mobilizes everyone,
I
brings
don't
them
say
together.
I'd like to have it occur.
Oh, yeah.
I hate to have some catastrophe, but I mean it does. But I've heard people say that something should happen to bring people together and bring them to their senses. That we're all together in this thing.
Gotcha.
And respect your fellow man.
Respect your fellow man.
Yeah.
All right, seems like decent advice. We're all gonna have to check out in a few minutes. I hate stopping.
You're a wonderful interview.
Oh, I could do this for. I'm
Yeah.
excited about this.
Yeah.
I could do this for like 5 days. Is there anything that you say? I stopped asking questions, and you walked away. You'd be like, I feel like I should have said this.
I probably will. Yes, I will. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let's pretend we're stopping.
No,
Distractions. Like, is there anything you'd like to name drop? I met this one person. I did like.
We would love to hear the Grant Wood story.
Grant Wood story.
Yeah.
What is that particular?
Wow.
When he came to visit your father?
Oh, that was too bad. Well, anyway, Grant Wood. My father had Grant Wood to we were going to get the the big man is coming in himself.
Okay.
And so he's coming in to the new Davenport Art Gallery, relatively new. And he's going to give a speech tonight. Well, anyway, he was going, I'll put it in that tense, he was going to give a speech. And everybody's all tuned up for this thing. The Grant Wood is coming to town.
Okay.
But he did come to town, but he got so damn drunk he couldn't give a speech. When we were in the car, we met an artist over there, and as did some other people who were with us. And of course, we said, "What do you do?" And he said he did artwork. And so we said, "Well, show us." So okay. So he showed us something, and he did a montage. You've seen it on the wall.
Yeah.
On the north wall there, it's about that big, and where he pasted various things and then painted in between.
Okay.
And it's semi-abstract. But anyway, that was exciting to buy that from the artist for that, thing.
Cool.
And we've enjoyed it. We like it, and it came from Dakar, from an area you would never expect to find something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
All right, I feel like we're all gonna go
Yeah,
check
sure,
out.
that's fine.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, okay. Say
Pleasure.
Say thank you so much.
Yeah.
I
That was
can't
wonderful.
say enough good things about you.
Oh, delight.
Yeah.